Ukraine's European allies have asserted that it is not the appropriate moment to lift sanctions on Russia, following Moscow's statement that it would only consider a US-mediated agreement to cease hostilities in the Black Sea if certain sanctions were relaxed. During a summit on Thursday, the leaders of the United Kingdom, France, and Germany collectively emphasized that Europe will maintain its sanctions against Russia. This unified stance sends a clear and coordinated message to the Trump administration, which is still assessing the Kremlin's request. The comments came after a gathering of the so-called Coalition of the Willing in Paris, where they deliberated on enhancing support for Kyiv and their potential involvement in the event of a peace agreement with Russia. Despite existing differences among the leaders regarding their responses, they expressed a unified front concerning Russia's request to ease sanctions. There is complete clarity that now is not the time for lifting of sanctions, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said. Quite the contrary, what we discuss is how we can increase sanctions to support the US initiative to bring Russia to the table through further pressure from this group of countries, the British Prime Minister said while talking in a friendly tone towards the USA. The meeting involved more than 30 countries of Ukraine's European allies, along with NATO officials. Starmer said the meeting was very constructive. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said stopping sanctions on Russia would be a serious mistake. It makes no sense to end the sanctions until peace has actually been achieved, and unfortunately, we are still a long way from that, as you can see, he said. This week, the United States announced that Russia and Ukraine had reached an agreement to cease hostilities in the Black Sea. However, Moscow quickly clarified that it was only adhere to the agreement if certain sanctions imposed on Russian banks and exports due to its invasion of Ukraine are lifted. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated on Wednesday that the United States will evaluate Russia's conditions for agreeing to a partial ceasefire in the Black Sea. He mentioned that upon the return of the U.S. negotiators from Saudi Arabia, they would engage in discussions to review the proposals and gather insights from their conversations, allowing for a clear understanding of Russia's stance and its demands in return. There was absolute clarity that Russia is trying to delay its playing games, and we have to be absolutely clear about that, Starmer said as he spoke to reporters with Zelensky. Zelensky called for more pressure and more packages of sanctions on Russia. He said the countries at the gathering in Paris and France agreed that no lifting of any sanctions of any kind until Russia will stop the war. They're dragging out the talks and trying to get the U.S. stuck in endless pointless discussions about fake conditions just to buy time and then try to grab more land, Zelensky said. Ukrainian intelligence is indicating that Russian forces are getting ready for new offensives against the Sumy, Kharkiv, and Zaporizhia regions of Ukraine. Zelensky added, Putin wants to negotiate over territory from a stronger position. He's thinking only about war. France has further elaborated on a proposal to deploy troops from European armies to Ukraine should a ceasefire be established. Previously, France and the United Kingdom introduced the concept of sending peacekeepers to Ukraine, expressing their readiness to deploy personnel. However, their recent conversations have focused on a different terminology. Now that terminology is called reassurance forces. These would be forces from a number of states, present in strategic locations pre-identified with the Ukrainians, which would provide long-term support, reassurance for the armies, and act as a deterrent to potential Russian aggression, Macron said on Thursday. The forces will not fully serve as a substitution for the Ukrainian army, he added. Russia has consistently stated that it would view any foreign military presence in Ukraine as unacceptable. The French president has revealed intentions to deploy a French-British team to Ukraine to assist Kyiv in shaping the future structure of its army. At present, the United States is not a part of the coalition of the willing. Macron has expressed his hope that the U.S. will back a Ukraine initiative of Europeans. However, he emphasized that Europe must be ready for the possibility that the U.S. may not engage in ensuring Ukraine's security.